Hello and welcome to my Thriving Child Coffee Chat. My name is Maggie and I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. And in these coffee chats, I share an activity, tip, or trick that will help your child thrive developmentally, and I do this in 10 minutes or less. So today I'm going to be talking about self-regulation and specifically self-regulation in nature and just why that's important. Self-regulation is important overall, and kind of the goal that we're going for when we're talking about self-regulation. So self-regulation is not just important for kids, it's important for everyone, and it's, the end point, right, is that you can self-actualize. So if you can self-regulate, you can achieve all of your desires and all the things that you want in life and achieve those to their fullest expression. And so the idea is to start working on the self-regulation with your child while they're young so that they have those building blocks to self-actualize as they get older. And of course, when they can self-regulate well, they can explore and grow and develop to the best of their ability. So that is why it's important. So first, I will go over just some different ways that you can help your child self-regulate in nature. And then after that, I'll go over kind of why that's important and get more into that. So if you just want to listen to the ideas, you can do that. You can stick around to listen to more of the why if you want to as well, totally up to you. So some different ways to self-regulate in nature. So playing games outside with friends and family, and that could be anything from tag to skipping rocks to swinging, digging in the dirt, riding bikes, anything like that. So that is kind of twofold because they're getting that movement and that proprioception work in. So that proprioception, so that awareness of where their body and joints are in space, can be very calming. And then they're also working on building social connections with their friends and family, which is love and belonging. That's a really important part to be able to self-regulate. So that includes a couple of things. Outdoor yoga, of course. So, for one, it can be learning a new skill. So building confidence with that self-mastery piece. And then also, they can, even if they learn just like a new stretch or a new breathing technique, they can carry that with them to help them self-regulate in the future. And then, of course, doing it outside, barefoot, which is my next thing on the list, is walking outside barefoot, is very calming to the nervous system. So those two things combined to the yoga moves. So again, including some of that proprioception and calming, and then also being barefoot outside, having those bare feet against the earth, is very calming to the nervous system. So those can be a couple different ways that they can self-regulate outside. Another one would be helping to garden with an adult. So, they're digging in the dirt, it's that sensory experience. Maybe they're getting some of that heavier work that can be calming by digging and maybe using a shovel and things like that. So that can be really helpful. And then again, building that connection with another person is really important. Two other things are an outdoor scavenger hunt, which I have an entire YouTube post about as well, another coffee chat, but that's including a lot of different sensory experiences, movement, and then of course they're outside. And then another one, that nature sensory walk. So again, same thing, including all the different senses. They're moving, they're outside, very calming and regulating to the body. And in both of these, they are being exposed to a lot of different sensory experiences. And so this is good in that they can learn what they like and what they don't like and what maybe is calming to them versus not. So that's all good information to know as they get older and move forward, and being able to self-regulate. Playing in the water can be super calming too, so that can be something that's self-regulating. And I also have another coffee chat on functional water play, so you can check that out as another thing to do outside. And then another thing is discussing the weather. So, and can be good like in a group too of kids, but how does this weather feel? Do you like this temperature? How does your body feel? So they can kind of learn how others might feel, so that empathy and perspective taking. And also, if it's too hot for them or too cold, they can talk about, problem solve ideas of how they could self-regulate. So kind of starting to build that skill in a just simple context outside. And then, of course, playing in all different types of sensory experiences. So kind of like I mentioned, if they're like in dirt and mud and snow and water, all these different things, and grass, they can kind of figure out what's calming to them, maybe what's not so calming, and then figure out how they can self-regulate. Nature can teach kids quite a bit, can teach us quite a bit. So, and then lastly, learning a new skill. So that can build outdoors, can build confidence and foster relationships, whether they're learning a new sport, they're building a fort, they're having to problem solve and try to come up with solutions on their own, which is part of that ability to self-regulate, right? Because if you have an issue or you're not feeling so well, or you feel like you need to calm down, you have to use that skill of problem solving and figuring out how you can calm it back down. So those are the ideas. Ran through this pretty quickly, but I also do want to know I have a blog, mythrivingchild.com, where I have all this written down too, if you would rather look at it in that format as well. But now I'll go into the why behind self-regulation. So basically there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is not a new thing, but what is at the bottom is the physiological needs. So that's that food, water, shelter, sleep, so those basic needs. And then if those needs are met for a child, then they move to safety needs. So that's their school environment, their home environment. At school they're not getting bullied, they feel safe. And that can also just be their perception of how safe they are. So from there they move to the safety needs. If those are met, they move to love and belonging needs. So this is kind of like what I talked about earlier, building in those connections with family and friends, and feeling loved and having self-love. And that perception of love is very important. And so that's kind of why a lot of those things I mentioned earlier involve having those friendships and things like that. So when those needs are met, they move to esteem needs. This includes self-confidence, the ability to problem solve, and understanding of their emotions. So this one, I kind of mentioned above, a lot of skill building and perspective taking and understanding emotions. It's kind of, this one encompasses that. So if they're able to meet those esteem needs, then they move on to self-actualization, which is what we want for all of our little ones, right? So in the future, we want them to be the most that they can be, to understand themselves, to achieve their goals, handle what comes their way, and then have good ethics while doing all of that. So that's so the self-regulation feeds into that, and that they're able to, meet a lot of those needs in the hierarchy, and then self-actualize and, again, understand what they want in life and be able to go after that and problem solve and maintain those relationships and feel safe and all these things. It all ties together. And so I just wanted to give some examples again of how they can self-regulate outside, and then kind of the why behind what is that end goal, of being able to self-regulate and why it's important in their life. So that is it for today's coffee chat, and I really appreciate you joining today, and I will see you next time.